Welcome to Talk of the Town.
Another Talk of the Town. Today we're here with Samuel Pearson. Sam, nice to meet you. I'm Matt. So, why do you shop at local businesses, or why don't you?
I'd probably say I'd do a bit of a mix of both. Like it depends what it's for, I'd say. If it's like, say, for coffee or something like that, or going out for coffee or going out for a bite to eat, I'll try and go a bit more local if I can. It's still depending on, well, it depends on where you are. Like here in Chester, there are quite a few places to do that, which is quite handy. But if you're somewhere else, there's not. But then sometimes I don't know. I feel like shopping at places that are like have brands associated with them, like around the country, it's more convenient. Well, it's convenient in terms of the fact that you know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Whereas if you shop locally, there is always a question mark in terms of whether or not it's good or not. But then more people, I feel like where local businesses are in a bit of like a vicious loop is the fact that they can't compete price on price with well-known brands, because well-known brands, say like Costa, for example, they're able to get everything for quite cheap because obviously they're nationwide. Whereas if you've got a local coffee shop here, they're having to charge more because they're a local business to stay afloat. So then I think that's a bit of a vicious cycle.
So, if they can't compete on price, what would be the top priority? What would you prioritize most if you ran a small business? Most important thing for customers?
I'd say if it was like a coffee shop or something, definitely loyalty schemes I think are quite important, because I think someone would be more willing to pay for an individual coffee or something on their way to work if they knew, say, after 4 coffees that they buy, they'll get a fifth one free or something like that, where it's given it's given a customer an incentive to keep going to that local place. Because I feel like without those, like you see especially up at the new market where that is, you're seeing some places in there that were thriving at first have either shut down now or have very few customers, because customers can't afford consistently to spend without there being a long-term benefit for them.
So, what's the first thing that you look for in a local business when you're walking in? Could be a greeting, maybe it has nice staff.
It would probably be nice staff, and then I'd look at how, like, if it was a retail brand, if it's a retail shop, I'd look at how busy it possibly is when I'm in there, because if it's busy, then I get a feeling if it's a good shop. If it's a coffee shop, for example, it's a slightly bit different. Like, I prefer coffee shops being slightly quieter. So if it's a local coffee shop, especially for doing uni work or something like that, it's ideal to go to, really.
Yeah. So, what kind of marketing would small businesses use that could appeal to you?
That's a good question. I'd say one thing I don't like is when local businesses come out onto the, like say if it's like when you've got a local like coffee shop who'll come out with a sign or something like that and try and get into your face specifically.
Line spinner.
Yeah, like a side spinner or something like that. I'm not a fan of that. I prefer.
What about the wavy inflatable tube guy?
I just prefer, like, for marketing, I prefer it to in certain ways be a bit more subtle, where they might have someone on the door or something like that who's saying, or like, would you like to come and try us, where they're still giving you the option to say yes or no to it. They're not demanding you come in. Or I quite like, well, one thing I noticed with a lot of local businesses around here, especially say up at the market or something like that, is they integrate their social
Go ahead.
They integrate their social media marketing to the public as well. They integrate, I don't know, they find a way to keep themselves like almost not family orientated, but like almost like that, where they're a community, and I quite like that.
Yeah, big community aspect is a big part of it. Then, so you go follow local businesses on their socials, see what's new.
Yeah, usually, yeah. Like, especially if I've tried a certain place or are looking to try, I'll I'll first look on the like I'll type in, say, if I'm wanting to go for a meal or something, I'll type in like restaurants near me. Obviously the list will come up. I'll then either look at their socials, because sometimes they'll have like the food that they do on there or something like that that will give me an inclination, and then from there I'll then look at reviews, and reviews is an important thing in terms of, obviously I know some people like go on to do reviews just to be negative for no reason, but I just I don't look, I don't really look at those very much. I'll look at some of the positive ones and see what they're doing, and then it'll give me more of an inclination in terms of where I want to choose, basically.
So assume you had a local business here in Chester.
Yeah.
First, what would it be? And then second, what would you do differently from competitors here, make your business stand out? And how would you get customers in the door?
What would I do as a local business here? That's a good question. I think I'd do something like, because I feel like what Chester's tried to do with a few certain places is a retro clothing store. Because obviously you see online that like some sellers can buy it in mass bulk and then sell it online, but then you never see that really in stores. You see it as like pop-ups, but you don't see it as like a permanent thing. And I think especially now when you look at people's style changes now, they're going a bit more retro style than they used to be. So I think I'd do that, but then the way I would go about doing it, I think, in terms of promoting it, or like in terms of the marketing side of it, is I think social media marketing is so important for it to build up that, because nowadays, for a retro clothing company, for example, it's our generation sort of that are now going back to that style, because obviously like our parents had that style in like the 80s and 90s, and now it's coming back. So, and I think obviously our generation use social media probably the most, so like almost hammering that and getting as big a traction on that as possible, whether it be trying to do the odd paid promotion with another brand around here, because I know a lot of the local businesses around here work together to help promote each other.
Yeah.
So like I think that would be quite important, just to first gain traction, and then it also comes down to the quality of the items that I'd sell, because if you haven't got quality like material and quality clothing, then no one's going to come, are they? So
One last question for you, and take the mic for this one. Any hot takes? Give it a little drop when you're done.
any hot takes? Oh, my hot take would be I'm going to single out a certain industry here, and I'm going to single out the hospitality industry, and I think in terms of why like obviously we use hospitality all the time in terms of going for food or something like that, but I feel like especially big chains, I think the way they could excel. Well, the reason why the gap is becoming closer between local businesses and bigger brands in terms of hospitality or something like that is because more well-known organizations, their staff, all aren't given almost the credit that they deserve, because like you've got certain companies around, whether it be hotels or something like that around Chester, that are massive. You've obviously got the Hilton and stuff like that, where each year they're probably bringing in millions and millions and millions of pounds, and then their staff are on like 0-hour contracts with minimum wage, and what I think is for that, I think the biggest thing in anything is if companies have their staff happy, then it pays a big difference for customers coming in, because like we were speaking about earlier, if you're a prospective customer and you go into a place and you see happy staff who are willing to help, that usually shows that they're treated well by their organization. So I think that needs to improve.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
No
Appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day.
No problem.